Gilg J as Keeill Vaayl.
Hello, is William youank agus a Claare seo, Claare na Gael. Robert Curtin Carswell is my name, Robert a Carslach.
Have you ever had tell of old Bobby Bob?
And it's my pleasure to present this bilingual programme in the English language as Ghilg and in the Manx Gaelic, Chinne na Mera, the mother tongue of Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Bannacht and Urish, well, David Robertson has brought us to Derbyhaven, where we've turned our attention to Keeill Vaayl, the chapel of St Michael. It's mentioned in 1250 in the Chronicles of the Kings of Man and the Isles, and we've now turned to a legend retold by William Harrison for the Manx Society in 1873. And in fact, this legend is going to engage us for some time to come. Ta moir Lucy Westenra na liom erish Lucy tret a riddenach bennelt ag an unig. Dal tajum tan unig brisha as ta kion mada all the moor shang lier a hagen. Ta moir Lucy agli jas as ti gavin bes. Ach ta Lucy clashen na Ninan Vaayl chow mui jen dorisek. We start with the title track of an album released last October by Scottish band BREABACH. Megan Henderson sings the song Fas. Tas yw geisdiach radio vanning stasiwn an asiwn, fes sgol sgelia mach, vai dúlish Alan Vannin. Fas, cognate with the Manx S as in guess, growing, and it's the title track from the 7th album by Scottish band BREABACH, which means kicking, BREABACH in Manx, but it's also the term used for a type of ornamentation in pipe music. And so a priest, not from the island but Gaelic speaking, is much revered round Derbyhaven. In a vision, St. Michael appears to him, and the priest sees himself preaching in a chapel to the people of the area. Now, while they were full of admiration at this dream, relates William Harrison, the good father bade them rise up and follow him to the place where he'd seemed to see the chapel. And lo, when they got there, they found the ground marked out where the foundations of the chapel now stand, and a border drawn some distance around, on which that wall was built, which you can now trace in the grass, just as if someone had turned up a furrow on the bare earth, and then laid a carpet of turf upon it. And when the men of the place saw the marvel, and how truly the good father's dream had been from heaven, he bade them kneel down there at once, while he prayed to St. Michael and all angels that these people would not leave off the good work till they'd built a chapel to him. Déimiorw, as henkets jaag on, as tre honnigad nuver hachert, as nuver na lai harm liavi, Rennert skriech maach. Renne gie reist jager genonjag vrish, as renne dorus boelje dunt. Grogget korp maru me verre wien, as hugga dien lai kudit les brillien, liavi, lug dau iri. Vad ulju go aglitjes, im neach, de ren mi corsera dau de golgus a chamber vee, as de kaach de royal gles de fien. Renne dorus bendelt fajlit with shalages, renne dunerish, renne ninen veil skriach, as hired ul je kujak as a chamber vee, as hug me na blegen vehemd en lai achris me vera wien. Trebber en shen, va kunje nem van Fairly van Helsing en Inchtau, ach, Chamaliam bescochad, as chama shen, van mi giri perche in de nien veil de wen en sai douche merem nish. Vajen des arm na denkt ne nien veil ash. Well, this is a song otherwise in Welsh, but the chorus for some reason has the line in English, Happy now we are all. This is LLEISIAU'R FROGWY. Happy we are all, sang LLEISIAU'R FROGWY in English, but expecting to see you back on the shores of Wales, disgwyl cafeich gweled chi lannau Cymru and all. You may remember LLEISIAU'R FROGWY being here for Chronicle a few years ago, with Gareth Glynn, their conductor, and he's also a composer and arranger. Déimiorw, a chadur mi fregert, ma so haimi gus a chamber vi de yener in son. Henk mi de vei lag chriach tre honnig mi na verhagert, vad ulju na kerjaun in lai an leeltach lair, as vad tarn ennel de trom. Van sech timi de fin sherry a woord, as lie lient, ach versor quer geron. Va auresem, as remi scrutige sech timi. Versor ege jay laudanum, as tre ich mi bwr shirveshach, hwr mi macht bodjail je, ta fer liom vera giaull son. Oh, va giaull je. Folum. Cray fodum giaull. Tammy rash the chamber merish mawoir. Gan nodum for Gaeli as Tammy malummerken liom jena sharventent in gadla as de peeg enjach a chor drugedau. Malummerken lesh fair maru. Gebloost thou gol mach son Tammy clashen gol angel of all the older through the onion grish. Thus they were led to begin, writes William Harrison, and promised to give a portion of their time till the little church should be finished. There was abundance of stone close by, and the architecture of the edifice was of the simplest kind. 4 plain thick walls, with a roof, was all they aimed at. Now this part of the work was comparatively easy. But Father Kelly, and so at last were told his name, Father Kelly began to be sore perplexed as it approached completion how he should furnish it within, and so fulfil the dream in providing such a costly altar as he was persuaded he ought to build. The poor people had neither silver nor gold. They had already offered such as they had, strong hands and hours taken from their rest or work. Night after night, Father Kelly used to repair to the chapel, now roofed in, and pray to St. Michael to help him in this strait. One dark evening he was there later than usual. He'd fallen down with his face upon the ground before the spot in which he hoped to put the altar. And that was Rose Murphy, born in Milltown in County Galway in 1900, but later she was teaching fiddle, melodeon and Irish dancing in South Yorkshire. Siodiw stasiwn y nasiwn radio fanim, as yn sio se Claare na Gael fys gyler sgeil mach. Mish Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
And back to William Harrison's tale. While thus prostrate in prayer, and longing for a continuation of his former dream, Father Kelly heard some footsteps close outside the chapel walls. Having his face upon the earth, the sound came quite distinctly to his ear. They stopped, and a voice said, "This is the chapel. Let's lay them here. 'Tis just the place for a burial." "Very well," replied another. "How does she lie, I here goes, mate, by the I don't even understand that, but anyway, how does she lie, I here goes, mate, by the northeast corner?" Then came the sound of digging and pauses, as if men were stooping down to lay something on the ground. After that, Father Kelly heard the mould put back, and someone stamp it down. Though the church had not been furnished, 2 or 3 funerals had taken place in the graveyard, one of which he had himself celebrated only that afternoon. What could be the object of these strange night visitors? They hadn't disturbed the dead. They didn't remain long enough for that. Their work, whatever it was, seemed to be accomplished in a quarter of an hour. Tan Jean ledden de chronnen, ta flode as goldens kjarkelen, se chejag vainunjig, as tan a saljagan last the gorrum was fes. Cray fodum ginu, ye gin coda me vayadi an ishe. Nim follige paper shows an ochrishem. She an tread out golnius, sledden ed Arthur Veen, man a ginum tanachten bio an ishe. The gin G cummelum were veen, as the gin G cuna liams. As nish cabdil deyeg, G len an fairly seward, an hachtul jeg main fower. Dimmen me a tule gus Hillingham, as renk me the morge. As mish cummel a carriage a yat, high me soos a chadan malummerken. Rem me crankle the bug, as wool me a chlag gecune as for possible. No, na rau me goil al rosh bura Lucy na a woir, as va me treistel na jig a charvent gus a doris. Look tamult gin fregert, rem me crankle as boole a chlag rish, fos gin fregert. Now this song in Breton has the same concept as Shan Gilye in Manx, an old boy meaning a bachelor, paotr youank kozh, the old young boy, performed by the duo NEKETOMTOM.
Oh la 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 lo. Oh la 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 la, de bre long long la la lo. Oh la 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 lo. No hameza shomera gosa hanon ke khwazi meye. Hanon ke khwazi meye. Rendaze wangwelet fal de brelo la la lo hore la 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 regonna di megele. Agonna di megele nagamme khetta wagushalle aglas che labura. Aglas che labura, canna gwenna rochedu, de brelon lo la la lo horere la 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 au besom da gruia. Ago besom da gruia, merare ya ponzo brema hozo tout as beya quan. Hozo tout as beya quan, se tu as vite petra, de brelon ho la la lo horere la 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 regon chemet per ya wan. Agon chemet per ya ancora mazin bebe la sculo te schina galle. Agot te schina galle, così alle nascrivo de brelon la la lo horere la 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 reve l'avocate. Aie l'avocate dalla burre da gredon au nom de ski kazahuan. Au nom de ski kazahuan, se tu as vite petra de brelon la la lo horere la 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 regon chemet per ya Ogen chemet per ya pagemme pegja veriri oge merira vates. Oge merira vates a choron da ribota de brelon la la lo horere la 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 de da gazazo dermes. Ega gazazo dermes o caravrit ne briso che to la cadize de funk. Oh la careza de funk, sais-tu as vite pétra des brillants. Oh la 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 regonche met per youank. Regonche met per youank, pas vous pardonner by the bout. Hey de nous êtes en salle. Hey de nous êtes en salle. Les évoques les troisies des brillants. Oh la la redaguerai de stracal. Hagagidre de stracal. Ore de la te la la lo. Ore de la no. Devre la la. Ore la lo. Ore de la no. Devre la lo. Devre la no.
Breton duo NEKETOMTOM performing CAINE with voice and flute, a song about a bachelor, a paotr youank kozh. Hug me mollach liastid na Sharventon, de jinnachad vein en liais liavi glid an oor, nod rawe nish, jai a chlag. As me saw, ren me krankel as wool me a chlag rish. Ach smoo me hurnsach. Ach fos gin fregert. Rosh nish van me a chor foil indrichen na Sharventon, ach nish, gauw al atjemach toiach der borre arm. Rauw a verdene show ach driacht Elias a joule de graag, vagien de chit de chan magiet de moon. Rauwe de jaru, taie wesh, as desen van me jit, ro anmach. Wa fissem de vodach cum rail rish minnet en eer is shalid en ginusus oeren de gaus on Lucy, maar wa fair jena woelige naglach de ginges jittori. As haimi me giert de taai de chore berfedden ver ked au in trailbal en jach. Gedot mi fedden achter bi de gasnes jach on. But daag unje ges dorres dunt as vogelaas, as henk bi rish, mollich ges a forge. After that time, Father Kelly heard a slapping of hands, as if someone were cleaning them of the dusty earth, and a voice saying, "There, that's done, and as dead men tell no tales, we may trust the present company." "Aye, aye," replied the other, "I trust them so much I don't think we need wait any longer." "What, art afraid, man?" "Not I, but there is foul weather coming, and the sooner we clear off these cursed rocks the better." "Well, come along." Then Father Kelly heard them walk down towards the water, and presently distinguished the grating of the boat's keel as she was pushed off. Then the double sound of the oars and the rowlocks died away, and all was still. He got up from the floor and walked out of the chapel. It was a midsummer night. The air was warm and motionless. Clouds, however, had crept up so plentifully as to cover the sky. While he stood there outside the chapel, the moon, which was about a week old, became obscured, and the darkness grew close to his eyes. Now this is a song commemorating the 1098 battle between the northern and southern Manx at Santwat, and it's sung for us by Bernard CAINE with piano accompaniment by Charles Gard.
Maras, taimnen noitjen sajages, atarabu, de shingelig leis krechen fes. O jorgen, a grai lachan grai deres bre, leg donish golden clay on slow, as kadon in guna share, Kadon in guna share. O vrerechen, leshkeip hagiel, aslai hagiel, quiet jota jet hunnish, benin saijen giaull O yendos panem ran ein nishado the neleg ninja, leg donish gjarnin noijin shis, had je neenske peilin law, had je neenske peilin law. Sonata, ma cautad skebits known as null, Macmaros, and cagate o chol. O hunt what, tan glioret, tan up, tan the bray, ma feinish tan the last ren, te scrutan sedim ren, te scrutan sedim
The Chronicles say the Battle of Santwat was won by the northern Manx, but tradition says that the women of the south came and helped their beleaguered men, and as a result were given greater widow rights than the northern women. Bernard CAINE and Charles Gard with the original lyrics by A.P. Grays, but translated into Manx there, I'm not sure by whom, but set to a tune composed by W.H. Gill. Father Kelly couldn't see a yard before him. He listened, but heard only the slow wash of the swell as the rising tide carried it into the clefts among the rocks, with now and then a liquid flap as a wave ran into a sudden angle and fell back upon itself. He felt for his lantern, and got out his steel to strike a light. Having dropped his flint, in groping about to find it, he forgot the direction in which he had stood, and when he got upon his feet again, after an unsuccessful search, felt himself so utterly at a loss that after walking a few steps with his hand stretched out before him, he determined to wait for the morning rather than risk a fall over one of the slippery rocks in his attempt to return home. When he'd sat there for some time, the rain began to fall, in large though few drops. These were, however, but the splashes from the bucketfuls which were soon poured onto his head. The wind, too, was loosed at the same time, and rushed on him with violence. Morfa mi djunu shen, chil mi a bit patavi je cad and cavil va gulder marciach de bew. Renner square ag a yacht, a shallin rena san mi, henk mi Keeill Van Helsing, as rais hús a chadan. Tre honnig mi, renne skred amach, ma so, she osfon, as carte jit, crenachti, welshin ro amach, nach duro a chelgramem. Dan soer mi getavius gekielach as dot mi, nach door mi a chelgram egge der a morges of ora, as na rauw minne der wei kailtem ons chitte so, as na dot mi cor pege ries a tai clashen mi. René leeste, as froggy soesen edegge, gaus doorte de trom gushach, esh, tammy foal de welshin ro anmach, aigne ye der oudjent. Les je vrie kajende lenige, Jannie rish, tar, maar na wel in trailes voorzit de gaasnestjag aan, zijn dan djunu ver. She trev is de cuiridh don nish. And that's Steve Hunt, born here in the island but raised in Cornwall, where he's very much involved in the music scene and in fish selling. And so not surprisingly, one of his compositions there was called Pysk P. Pysk is a fish. And he'll be here this summer for an Chroniach with Morvran, the Cornish band. Stasiwn na nasiwn tyn sio radio fanny, as yn sio se Claare na Gael fysgol rasyn, as mer yn pyn Robert Cutting Cars o Robert a Carslach.
Ever heard tell of our Bobby Bob?
Haisyn ma geert gus cool a tai, bol va unig a chemer early. Gauw en allu, sau liach, beg, vain gistjehege. As goud hog ei douce, renny China mag meer na baren jaren verkode en unjeg. Ren mi saige aru chelirach, as ons treg jaar van mi jaren true triejau. Esch le skin jouwer Keeill, rensjen sai gaure drumme, snig na sashen, as fosle en unjeg. Rem mi koene lesjen alu de golstjach aan, as dair mi Gerauw pecher bies a chamber early, non chameren de charventen, verfagestun. Ook sjen ber uljen a chameren gouds haisjen rumbu. As onze chamber wie, seilsjet de fes, lior is skellen de holles truut na dolenen, goersjen kier mren charventen den lai a leer. Gerauw femers munjen drouwed maru, non a rauw a tarn endel feirach okkes en soor gier at de lodenum, se chamber, genu sus oors on aurus, machion a stedok. The wind rushed on Father Kelly with such violence that, though he dared not search for shelter lest he should fall over the rocks, he was glad to sit down on a large stone which he felt at his feet. The first flash of lightning, however, showed him the chapel itself not more than 10 yards off. He groped towards it immediately in the gloom, with his hands stretched out before him, right glad when he felt its rough stones. The wall once found, he soon discovered the path with his feet, and when he got home was glad to go to rest at once. He hadn't slept many hours before he was roused to visit a dying man in one of the neighbouring houses. Hurrying on his clothes, he hastened to the place where a crowd was gathered about the door, many of them dripping from the sea. The storm which he had seen the evening before had grown into a terrible tempest, during which a ship had been driven on the rocks and utterly wrecked. Now this is the Irish sextet, singers and musicians, ARCANADH, asking who's going with the young lady to herd the cows. Well, she's not saying, despite the various goodies she's offered.
Cada haulig to dom eranum arla, eranum arla, eranum arla. Cada haulig to dom eranum arla, le do si da si dero.
Your hatte paper eranum arla, eranum arla, eranum arla. Your hatte paper eranum arla, le do si da si dero.
Ni lorlam meshen eranum arla, eranum arla, eranum arla. Ni lorlam meshen eranum arla, le do si da si dero.
Your couple is caught eranum arla, eranum arla, eranum arla. Your couple is caught eranum arla, le do si da si dero.
Ni lorlam meshen eranum arla, eranum arla, eranum arla. Ni lorlam meshen eranum arla, le do si da si dero.
Your knuck
well down, Shelon de gar, Shelon de gar, Shelon de gar, York knock, well down, Shelon de gar, le dulci dauci dero. She dirma dan tabar an bukalimbra, an bukalimbra, an bukalimbra. She dirma dan tabar an bukalimbra, le dulci dauci dero. She dirma dan tabar ishe mogra, ishe mogra, ishe mogra. She dirma dan tabar ishe mogra, le dulci dauci dero.
Cuiridh liom by ARCANADH. And spoiler alert, it turns out that Diarmuid from Tubber is a fine boy, as shame gra, he's my love. All the crew were drowned but one man, whom they dragged out of the surf and carried to Derbyhaven. He'd apparently, however, been saved from death in the water to die on the land, for he was so grievously bruised and cut by the rocks on which he'd been thrown that life was ready to leave him altogether. When Father Kelly came in, he found him lying on the floor, wrapped up in such dry clothes as the people had at hand. He'd begged them to fetch a priest. His back, he said, was broken, and he knew he couldn't live another hour. So the people fetched Father Kelly, as we've seen, and left the two together. "Father," said the dying man, "will you hear the confession of a pirate and murderer?" The priest, seeing there was no time to lose, signified his assent, and kneeling down by his side, bent his ear to listen. Then the man, with strange breaks and ramblings in his speech, told him of murders out on the wide seas and horrible recollections of cruelty and rapine. Ich van Helsing is mis Chelia, as gouds rentjen gleisige soel door te, vod much Gael Careil jaun the sand me. Esh rentjen golsus gus shamer Lucy. Rish tullach na ghe rentjen lees de rosje doris de eestjach. Ach rau sheen bier a glaasnijn. Lesh edenen niel as lauwen krauw, doshel shin a doris de mila, as haishin stjachs a chamber. Cray en acht fodem cor kunta, jay na honnikshin. Javi va de wenden lai, Lucy as a moir. Van na na lai na saja stjach on, as vi kudigt les brilliant ben, as van oir jay we shage cheese and shajag through den onion brish, de yendon and edin try neil, les kumma da achim sight onji. Yori va Lucy na lai, leis edin ven va eer na strai. Na blein ver mugita mwanel hoorshinad achrische mere, as van skornik ag roest, ren saljigemach an de gor begge jou vashin an oltaas de rai, ach gien ben as repich de haglach. A Welsh rock band, Edward H. Davis, had a career between 1973 and 1980, producing 5 albums in that time and several singles. However, I must say this track is rather atypical of their usual rock guitar riffs. This is from 1979 and it's Små ishe mynd, I Don't Want to Go.
Mae'r cwestiwn yn dy boced Ar ateb yn dy ben Smo fi eisiau mynd Mae'n rhaid I ti, mae'n bore Smo fi eisiau mynd A cheisio wneud y ore Smo fi eisiau mynd Yn erbyn y
factores, ma thrifty ar yr ôn.
Chwarter I chwech mewn tafarn wag, a'r tren yn mynd am ddeg. Treswch yn dy lygaid, a roll-up yn dy gyd. Sma fi isie mynd,
Mae'n rhaid I ti, mae'n fores,
sma fi isie mynd,
a cheisio wneud y ores,
sma fi isie mynd.
yn derbyn y factores, ma thrifty ar yr ôn.
Cysgod y llon, a'r gwely yn ôl, meddwl amdan a ti. Does dim dianc rhag y bien wen, a'r dyn sy'n pwyntio'r bys. Mae ando gwyn yn ffrahag, ond pwy sy'n talu'r pris? Sma fi isie mynd,
Mae'n rhaid I ti, mae'n fores,
sma fi isie mynd,
a cheisio wneud y ores,
sma fi isie mynd,
yn derbyn y factores, ma thrifty ar yr ôn.
sma fi isie mynd,
Mae'n rhaid I ti, mae'n fores,
sma fi isie mynd,
a cheisio wneud y ores,
sma fi isie mynd,
yn derbyn y factores,
sma fi isie mynd,
mae'n rhaid I ti, mae'n fores.
sma fi isie mynd.
Edward H. Davis, who don't want to go, smoby ishe mynd. Gyn fogel, ren yn nol yw crom o sys herish y liabi, as y chion bonus benten rys ochrys Lucy fach. Eich, ren it yn de y chion dy bliw, gwrys fer bysgeisdiach, as chawds fe lim o sws, dau y mach orom, chanel e ffos ro anmach, dy biw, corlesh y brandy. We took a Spanish ship some weeks ago, added the man, and came in here to water, being a safe place, when I, God forgive my soul, I committed my last crime, and stole from the captain a box of gold he took out of the Spaniard. Well, this legend continues next time as well. Now, next Saturday, the 4th of March at 2:30 p.m. in the McGill Room adjoining Peel Methodist Church, Professor Angela Little will be giving a presentation about the development of education for all in Peel and the West, and that's another in the series of presentations organised by the Manx branch of the Celtic Congress. But all are very welcome. A donation of £3 would be gratefully received to help with the overheads. So that's next Saturday at 2:30 in Athol Street, Peel, Professor Angela Little and the development of education for all in Peel and the West, and that's in the Guild Room adjoining Peel Methodist Church. There's a chance to chill out with Chris Pearson from 7 to 9 here on Manx Radio, and then at 9 Judith Lay will be here with Sundown. Ach, Rá Shen and Shaw and Claare na Gael tashin corcion Claare, leis pert de giaull yorish pod and cioli eder Cheltiach. We close with music by Emar, Glasgow-based but including Thomas Collister and Adam Rhodes, which is why they include the Manx tune Gerran Tale in this medley. Ach Shananish, and so from Claare na Gael until the next time, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert de Carslach,
Old Bobby Bob.
wishing you a very good night. Eve, I'm a Creerioliu as Orselier, as my Yerian shared you.